Has sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. And that brings to a close questions for oral answer today. Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business?
Mr Speaker, I so move. There's been a few lessons this week, Mr Speaker, and one of them from the government has been, if in doubt, make up a target. And that is absolutely what the government has done. But be under no illusion, Mr Speaker, a target does not equal a plan. And we've seen no better evidence of that coming out of not Mexico, not Greece, Mr Speaker, not Spain, but New Zealand. Over the past 4 years, this is not the first time we have had a set of targets issued. In fact, let me, for the sake of the House, go through some of the plans and targets that this government has produced before. Harking back to 2010, I will keep it brief, Mr Hipkins, I know the list is long. Back in 2010, we had a 6-point plan for securing a brighter future. In 2011, we revised that 6-point plan and added 41 action points. Now, that was the post-election action plan. Keep up. Joyce and English then issued their own 6-point plan for business growth. Just to recap, that's 6 plus 6 plus 6. Nick Smith, not wanting to be a superstitious man with the 666, he brought in an 8-point plan for local government. But John Key, not wanting to be one-upped by Nick Smith, came up with his own 10-point plan recently. So if anyone cares then to add that up, that equals still no plan. So, Mr Speaker, the brighter future that this government talked about, to date we still haven't seen the outcome of any of those targets. Let's reflect on some of the evidence of what has been generated. We were promised 4% growth. We got what? Projections of 2.6 as a consequence of the last budget. We were promised 170,000 jobs last budget. That's been downgraded by 16,000 jobs. Unemployment, just to highlight again what it was when this government came in, it was almost 18,000, and now the unemployment benefit recipient numbers are almost 50,000. They said that the value of goods exports would rise. They fell by 17% last year. And what about wages? What about wages, the thing that makes a difference between whether New Zealanders stay in New Zealand or whether they look overseas, and they are in droves, and why? 1.6% is where wages will peak at, and then it will decline, Mr Speaker. This is the brighter future we were promised, and I can tell you, Mr Speaker, the lights are out. Stephen Joyce, Bill English and John Key are fighting over a flashlight, desperately looking for targets in the dark. But all we see, Mr Speaker, is an absolute epic fail. Now, in Labour, we are all for accountability. We are all for aspiration, but targets without a plan are absolutely meaningless. Let's drill down into one or two of them. Rheumatic fever, for instance, Mr Speaker. Of course we support trying to reduce rheumatic fever rates, but you cannot swab your way to reducing the true cause of rheumatic fever. And what is that cause? Poverty. Poverty is one of the direct causes of rheumatic fever via overcrowded housing and poor conditions and cold, damp houses for children. And there are no targets for that, Mr Speaker. The government's plan is to put $12 million into swabbing. Now, will that reduce the incidence of strep A? It will not. And that's why, as soon as that money is removed, unless poverty is addressed, rheumatic fever will skyrocket. Let's look at welfare. Let's look at welfare. The government says it wants to reduce welfare dependency, those who have been on 12 months or more, by 30%. But they've left a stark gap in between as to how they're going to achieve now. That we looked at the numbers yesterday, Mr Speaker. Now, based on the numbers Labor had available to us at the time, because MSD releases slightly sporadic numbers to us, we calculated that there would be significantly more on welfare over 12 months or more, even with the government's targets. Now, after the Minister tabled her figures yesterday, I did go back and look at them, and those numbers are revised down. But, Mr Speaker, even with the Minister's 30% target in place, the number on welfare will be higher than when Labor left office. This set of targets is about trying to be as good as Labor was when we were in government. Mr. Speaker, if you want to help kids target poverty, if you want to fix welfare, fix the economy, that is a plan.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr.